Mhm. Welcome to the History of LA Ska one-on-one sessions. I'm Junor Francis. This series celebrates the ska, rocksteady, and vintage reggae scenes in Southern California and beyond through insightful conversations with legends and modern-day players, including those behind the scene. So whether you watch us on YouTube or listen on as a podcast, thanks for your support over the years. We really and truly want to thank you. And we, of course, can always get more viewers, but we really thank you for paying attention and, of course, spreading the word. Have all your friends go online and watch. Today, we welcome John Norwood Fisher, a founding member and a celebrated bassist for Los Angeles-based own innovative and legendary ska, punk, funk, reggae, soul group, Fishbone. Welcome, Norwood. It's a pleasure to have you. I've seen you a couple of times. We met officially at the Grammy Museum, so really and truly glad to see your presence. Let's begin by talking about, I guess, your new website. You have a new website. It's called Being Human is a Full-Time Job, a t-shirt design. What inspired you and such a unique name, which is not unusual for Fishbone?
Well, you know what? It actually, the phrase came from one of my dearest friends was actually having a hard moment. Mm. And, it just was something that when you look at the state of humanity in the personal, mm-hmm. There's the macro, the way the world is, but every day a mother that has to take care of her children, a father that's going to work, the stresses and strains of just trying to live in the world, it can be heavy, and it's a statement of understanding, empathy. It's because we all live it, right? Being human is a full-time job.
Yeah, it was kind of confusing at first, but thanks for the explanation. So being human, you're right about that,
Yeah, man.
Yeah, the pandemic, Russia and United States, and they're getting ready to go to war, among other things, homelessness running rampant all over the world, and especially here in Southern California, where we live. So we see that daily. Yeah, it's definitely a full-time job.
Yeah, when I think about my parents, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? My father, my mother, my grandmothers.
Mm-hmm. Are they all alive?
No. Mm-hmm. I mean, my mother and father are not my grandmother. Right.
Mm-hmm. But I guess your parents must be proud of you based on your accomplishment, the things you've accomplished over the years. Toward
my parents were very supportive.
Nice.
And me and my brother grew up in our mother's home.
Mention his name for your brother's name.
Fish, the original drummer for Fishbone, yes. Fish, the namesake of the band, mm-hmm. Ultimately. So, she was super supportive and that in and of itself, I look at it now, there had to be a difficulty to us having our friends over on a regular basis, making a shit ton of noise, banging away, honing our craft.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And South Central Los Angeles is your place of birth?
No, I was born in San Diego.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, me and my brother born in San Diego. So I'm 100% Southern Californian.
Yes, without a doubt. But then
all my memories are of Los Angeles. When I was 2, we moved to Watts.
Yes.
Right? So that was 19. My brother's born in 1967. I'm born in 65.
Mm-hmm. And so you grew up in South Central.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I believe most of the founding members are also from South Central. Are these guys you grew up with?
We met in school.
Mm-hmm. What schools?
George Ellery Hale Junior High School, Hale.
Let's hope we can inspire some youngsters to take up music?
You know what? I'm about that. That's really is. I'm very fortunate to be a founder of what will soon this year, I hope, be the Watts Conservatory of Music. With co-founders is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, because he's at the Silver Lake Conservatory. And I introduced him to a good friend of mine when I went to high school in my own neighborhood, Hamilton, Alexander Hamilton High School.
Right.
And so David Moss is the other co-founder. And we actually both went to Hamilton. We didn't really become friends until recent years, but in the last 10 years or so.
Right. And I think we should acknowledge all the members of Fishbone. Perhaps you could name them and say who they are. Yeah.
Angelo Moore, saxophone, lead vocals. Chris Dowd, keyboards, vocals. Dirty Walt, trumpet, vocals. Kendall Jones, guitar and vocals. Most of us sang except for Fish, but that's the original lineup. Currently, we have Mark Phillips on guitar, and quite a few people have come through. I ain't naming everybody, but we love them all and appreciate the contribution they made to keeping the locomotive, capital LOCO locomotive, going.
Boy, it has been going. We're just rumbling from the very onset and still rumbling.
Yes.
But you guys did a tour. I know you had quite a few dates this past November, 2021.
Well, we did December. We did a good a West Coast run.
And was it successful? Was it to your liking?
Oh, it was phenomenal.
Where are some of the places you played?
We started in Bend, Oregon, went to Portland, Seattle, did 2 shows in San Francisco, and ended that particular leg of the run in San Luis Obispo.
If I were to make an intelligent guess, I guess pack house every stop.
Pretty much, man. And and it's hard to say which one was top, because it's the West Coast. So, and you tour enough, once you get past the Rockies, you home. You know what I mean? You and your, I'm in my backyard. In Arizona. I'm almost home. Got a couple, get out and walk. But
any tours, any near future?
Right now, we don't have touring on the books right now. We got a couple shows, one in Riverside, and one in Tracy, California. I gotta look at my calendar to tell you when. February 18th and 19th.
By then the podcast should be up, so hopefully we can inspire some.
Okay, yeah.
Seen you before, and even those who have seen you to come out and catch you. You said Riverside, right?
Yeah, Riverside,
largest city east of Los Angeles. Let's hope you.
Yeah, and then we did a couple shows to end out the year. We did played the Coach House, and we played a new venue in Los Angeles and Venice.
The West Side. Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, I haven't been.
Yeah, which was fabulous, bringing in the new year.
Yes, indeed.
It had. We got hit with Omicron, there was it's a pretty substantial portion of the band left with some.
From that show?
From one of them shows. I wasn't one. Angelo didn't get it. I think everybody else may have.
Wow. But everyone has recovered at this point?
Everybody's recovered, doing great.
Right, excellent. So take us back to some of the biggest musical influences by genre: funk, punk, ska, and reggae. We could do them one at a time in
So-
no particular order.
So ultimately, like the common bond with all of the members of Fishbone was George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic, Bootsy, and everything that was in that universe, right? That was our initial common bond.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically, we're young teenagers meeting, being bused from South Central Los Angeles to the Valley. And it was everything of the day. It was Sly and the Family Stone. It was Rick James. It was the Ohio Players. It was Black music, But the other thing that we had in common is that we liked a whole bunch of other shit, So, I personally have been a Beatles fan. Chris Dow was a big Beatles fan. Walt probably couldn't stand the Beatles, but there was Jimi Hendrix, the Doors, but at the same time, this is because we're talking 1978 when we were all be getting to know each other.
Right.
So in that time, Black radio in Los Angeles began to play Bob Marley late at night.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was catching that sometimes, waking up to take a piss in the middle of the night. What's that sound?
And what station?
It was 1580 K-Day, right? Which became the home of hip hop in LA. And so we catch that, and where I lived, there was some other kids, and we all kind of like, we didn't know reggae, but because Stevie Wonder had Boogie on Reggae Woman, like that kind of lit people up. It was people in the neighborhood as well that kind of bumped them sounds too. But it really was that first Bob Marley on 1580 K-Day. But again, it goes back to Stevie Wonder because he owned KJLH, right?
Mm-hmm.
And KJLH blew up Steel Pulse. It was incredible. He loved, but wait, before we got to Steel Pulse, Third World, Now That We Found Love.
Yes.
Right? And once you got to Now That We Found Love, then you had to get to 96 Degrees in the Shade. You know what I mean? So which was richer reggae, But thank goodness for Third World, like they kind of kicked open the door and brought a lot of Black people into it in that time.
By way of Now That We Found Love.
Because it was on Black radio. Mm-hmm. It was on 1580 K-Day, right? And KJLH, Stevie Wonder's station. And then that led to Stevie Wonder being able to introduce us all to Steel Pulse, which...
Some hardcore reggae, no?
Yeah, rebel music.
The Hansford Revolutionaries.
Revolutionaries, yes. I mean, Bob Marley to the heart, but, used like David Hines was putting it down. And it resonated, When you heard Ku Klux Klan, mm-hmm. Like they care about what we going through.
Of course, because they don't have Ku Klux Klan where they live. They have national fun, but they were speaking to the American audience specifically.
Yeah, exactly. And so, of course, we related to that. That brought us in, right? And then next was Black Uhuru. Mm-hmm. So, and for Fishbone, the influence of Sly and Robbie, the fact that they got down with Grace Jones, that was meaningful, because Grace Jones was iconic in the late 70s. You didn't know what was about to happen with that one. And she just kept twisting and turning and changing and being glamorous and incredible, you know? And, you know, the albums that she made with them really allowed, like it opened up the scope of what was possible for us, you know? Because she was already doing it, right? So music was like, punk rock was brand new. New wave was coming in, so we was catching that too, right? So it was, and so, you know, we were all over the musical dial. Me and my brother, for sure, and all of us really.
Right.
We listened to every music. There was nothing that, like, you know, heavy metal was the rock stations, KMET and KLOS. All of it was fair game. But watching Devo on Saturday Night Live was life altering. You know, Fear on Saturday Night Live. You know, and then seeing the decline of Western civilization. That the movies, Dance Craze and the Decline of Western Civilization really changed everything for us.
Right. So going to speculate that most of the stations in Los Angeles were not, at least the station that you mentioned, they didn't play any ska. So how were you introduced to ska?
So then well, one, it was Dance Craze. Well, first, wait, backing up. First, and I tell this story about the same every time. I thought we invented.
I've heard it, so it's fresh.
Yeah, yeah, because we were just playing with reggae rhythms, and you know, youthful energy just started speeding it up and speeding it up and speeding it up and speeding it up, and then it was just going fucking really fast. I'm like, oh man, we invented something, punk rock reggae. What are we gonna call it? Walt's like, that's ska, fool. I'm like, ska? I couldn't even hardly understand what he's saying.
But who said that now?
Dirty Walt.
Oh, okay.
Dirty Walt knew, because he had an aunt named Frankie that was a limo driver. His aunt Frankie, about 2 days later, 3 days tops, he came back to my house with cassettes of the Selector and the English Beat. I was like, okay, that's really what it's supposed to sound like, you know?
The baptism of God.
Straight. So that was my introduction, and then the movie Dance Craze, and then from there, like we was like the English ska, you know, and it was from then, after we had been playing the club scene for a minute, it was a band called Tupelo Chain Sex.
Based in LA?
Yeah, and it was Joey Altruda's band.
Oh, yeah.
Joey Altruda, Tupelo Joe.
It's a household name.
Right?
Joe.
So he was playing, the band was amazing. We befriended them. Willie McNeil on drums. We called him Willie Dread. Sugarcane Harris played violin in the band. Don Cherry played in the band. You know, Nina Cherry and Eagle Eye's father, if that's how you got to know him, you know. And it was an amazing band. We loved them, and it was, their manager was a guy named Jason Mayo, and his brother Gaz, you know, is
nice.
You know, the Trojans in England, and Gaz put out a lot of records on the Trojan label, right? Anyway, it was hanging out with Jason Mayall and Skate Master Tate at the house where we considered the Tupelo Chain Sex house, where they started playing all this Jamaican ska. And we found out how black ska really was. It blew our minds.
Mm-hmm.
I went home that night going like, oh my God, it all goes back, you know?
To Louisiana, Florida,
yeah,
back to Los Angeles.
Yeah. And we actually didn't figure out the Louisiana part till later as well. But it was actually a great source of pride.
Absolutely.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It was actually like, okay. And then and they helped us understand the evolution of ska, from ska through blue beat and rock steady and to the formation of reggae, you know?
Right.
And yeah, so that was a journey. Definitely. You know, and it kind of rooted us in like, yeah, this is for us. Two-tone did it. I like the fact that there was a two-tone that spoke to, you know, like the anti-racist stance.
Yes.
Of two-tone. Like, dude, it's for us.
Indeed.
You know? And you know, we of course carry that to this day. It was totally influential. You know, thank you, Jerry Dammers.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm. So I want to take you up. Fishbone was very groundbreaking. No one can, in fact, pigeonhole your band into any specific genre. You were one of a few groups of Black musicians who incorporated, I guess, just about every style: funk, punk, ska, rocksteady, and reggae. I don't think that was done or as successfully. Maybe the likes of Death and Bad Brains experimented as well. They influenced you guys, but
I always thought the Clash kind of, you know, you know what I mean? Like the Clash kind of did it. You know, they mixed a lot of stuff up. You know, it was a different effect from a different angle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but
the Clash, okay. And you guys were listening to them back then, right?
Huh?
You guys were listening to the Clash as well.
Well, at a certain point, I didn't really dig into the Clash. The fact that they did it, we were just doing what came natural to us, right? We didn't do it because the Clash did it, but I gotta give them props. They did it. You know, it was we listened. We played music like how we listened to it.
Right, to play like you listen, not like that.
Like that's all we did. Like we was down with everything just about, and and we were free enough to just simply allow it to come out. And the the fact that ska was Jamaican, and the message of two-tone in and of itself allowed us to embrace it probably musically above most of what else we were doing. One, we were looking to be original, period. So we didn't want to sound like Parliament Funkadelic. We barely even played that music. Like we knew those songs in our head. We didn't learn them note for note. We didn't even learn a bunch of ska. We learned some, but you know, we wrote a lot of ska songs. We actually, and I skipped over this, we actually learned a lot of Rush. We learned Devo.
So in a sense, it was difficult for promoters to book the band, I'm assuming, right? Because they're not sure what genre, because you couldn't be pigeonholed into one specific genre.
Yeah,
So
well, you
a
know,
ska promoter may not be sure, or a reggae or a punk or a funk. Did that create a problem, so to speak?
not with bookings, right? The very first thing, like our manager, Roger Perry, he was like, I'm gonna just book y'all on everything that we can book you on.
And you fit into everything.
So we fit in, like it just happened. We played with a lot of rockabilly bands. Like
right.
At Madame Wong's, there was a lot of rockabilly bands. And you know, but we weren't a part of that scene, you know. Like it really worked when we did play with ska bands.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that worked somewhat the best. And there was no big funk scene in LA. There was some, but not, you know, it was really like punk rock, which we fit, and ska, we fit. We played with all kinds of bands. Blues, you know, like I said, rockabilly, a bunch of pop bands. We just played with everybody, and that, I think that's eventually, but it wasn't until we like plugged into the hipster scene. So, and you know, ska has a pure, then there was mod ska purity, right? And we weren't pure anything, you know? So it was people who wasn't checking for us at all, you know? So
is that a downside, considering that LA perhaps has the largest ska scene in the United States?
No, you know what? Because I think it had to do what it did. Mm-hmm. People needed to go through those things, because people eventually grew out of those things. And the music expanded, you know? And we were part of the expansion.
There you go.
You know? And so it had to come to a Voodoo Glow Skulls. You know, like that was something that needed to be expressed, you know? Mm-hmm. But we absolutely needed a Hepcat.
Yes.
You know, like I'm like, I wasn't mad at the purists at all. I might have wished they were a little more open, but the traditions that were kept alive still reverberate today.
Yeah, who can?
You know,
no one can disagree with that.
Yeah, and so I appreciate that.
Yes.
You know, I appreciate that I can go check out the Expanders today that have a vibe, you know, that's like somebody's doing that today.
Yes, indeed. So I want to take you back to October 2021. Yeah. You participated in the top ranking, the Unclubbed Birch of the LA Ska Boom event at the Grammy Museum. How important was the Unclub back then to you and the group?
The On-Club, because one, I think it was 18 and over, right? So
depends on who was at the door.
Yeah. I was 17. Because all they served was beer, right? I think you could get away with 18. I'm not sure. But beer and wine. So you know, we one, the fact that the Specials ever played there was a big deal for us. And the way that the On Club was booked, and the fact that we could go there when we weren't playing and check out bands and go see what other people were doing, That was so important to us. You know, it had like it's mine. You know.
And you guys played there, of course, numerous times.
Oh yeah, we played there very much. We were the last band to grace the stage.
Wow, that's historic. That's legendary.
Yes, we were the last band.
Before they closed the door, before they put the stop on.
Yes. And it was a hell of a party. There was about 4 inches of beer on the floor. It was soggy in that motherfucker. It was deep. But it was beautiful. It was beautiful, and it was sad to see it go.
Yeah.
You know? And for years I passed it by like, I wish I could buy it and turn it back into what it was.
But the memory remains that you brought the curtain down in a good way.
Yes, absolutely. And I really, between Howard and Bob Silva, like I appreciate to this day them allowing us to be that band. You know?
Right. It wasn't by accident, it was by design that they had.
They know they were like Fishbone shutting us down.
Yes, sir. So what are some of the other popular venues back in the 80s that you performed at here in the greater Los Angeles?
Well, our very first show was at Madame Wong's Chinatown, which was pivotal for punk rock, right? And Madame Wong's Chinatown and Madame Wong's West. And although Madame Wong's West was a larger, you know, nicer facility, it was something about Madame Wong's Chinatown that everybody preferred. You wanted to grow up.
Was it the acoustic?
It was a vibe.
That's the word vibe.
It was a vibe. I don't know if it sounded great or not. It was a vibe. It was a Chinese restaurant. It wasn't made for what went down, you know? But those were super important. There was a club called the Music Machine.
That one I know, yes.
And the Music Machine was super important. Like it was, but the LA scene, the LA club scene was so healthy. Overall.
In what sense?
Like just
the wide variety there.
Yeah. There was amazing bands everywhere.
Variety,
you know, and you know, people would say like you could go to any club any day of the week and see something that was good, if not great, if not 3 great bands. You know, but at least one you were gonna go like, there was something to that, you know, and that was it was super healthy. It was like when I think about, you know, when I think about music and what it takes, what it would take to cultivate an amazing scene today, that's my template. But it's all I know too, right? Like we grew up and we toured and we got to see other scenes. And there were many healthy scenes around the United States. But particular 1983 to 1990 something, LA was on fire. And, you know, some of my, like, there was a club called The Plant in Studio City where we played quite a few times, but not like the other ones, but man, I loved that club. You know, we played with a band called Tex and the Horseheads, which we would befriend. You know, they were kind of sludgy, punky sludgy. And I saw Suicidal Tendencies there. Me and Fish went to see Suicidal Tendencies there. And that was before Rocky George was in the band. It was, you know, the absolute, I think, original lineup. And, you know, it was like, you know, we got to explore Los Angeles, seeing the Untouchables at the Roxy, you know, like the Untouchables were the kings of the Los Angeles scene at that time.
Some of the originators.
Yeah, man. And so going to see them, and you know, like, you know, but the like the reggae bands in LA really, you know, I was thinking about this band Del and the Sensations.
Yes, sir.
You know, was like, love to see Del and the Sensations.
They were good.
You know, the Rebel Rockers, and that was a lot of you know, that, like a lot of these bands, it was the On Club where I saw them. You know, Del and the Sensation, the Rebel Rockers, the Babylon Warriors.
Memory juggling, go ahead.
Prince Ital Joe. You know?
He became an ancestor a good few years ago.
Huh?
He became an ancestor. He died a few years ago.
Oh, yes, I know. It's sad to see him go, but you know what was dope was how he found his way onto Death Row Records.
I didn't even know that.
That, like, on the, you know, Dr. Dre's production, Snoop, you know? Like if you check out, like, Prince Ital Joe was on those records because he was selling them weed.
Yes. Yes, sir. So can you take us back to the late 80s, early 90s? That was a crucial era for Fishbone. Please talk about some of the highlights performing Jamaican ska in the back of the beach reunion film. It's a couple of them. I'll take them one at a time.
Oh man, that was because there was so, you know, we got the word. We were on tour with the Beastie Boys, the License to Ill tour. When we got the You Got the Gig, we knew it might be coming, but they took, you know, so in the middle of that tour, there was some days off and it lined up to where we flew back to Los Angeles to shoot the scene. And the wild thing is Public Enemy took our place on the tour. They did shows in New Jersey that we would have been on. Public Enemy was the band that took our place with the Beastie Boys. But we, I was like, I was a little freaked out because the License to Ill tour felt like the most notorious radical tour in America at that time. You know, the Beastie Boys.
Be more specific, in what sense?
Huh?
What made it?
It was wild as hell. We was all batshit crazy and raising all kind of hell. Drinking, fucking smoking weed. I don't know what everybody, I'm sure there was plenty of drugs. I myself, just weed and alcohol.
That's enough.
And whippets. Anyway, it was, but you know, like, cause the Beastie Boys, they had girls in cages. They had a 30-foot dick coming out of a box.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
You know, slinging beer all over the stage every night. Murphy's Law, Fishbone, Beastie Boys. We was pirates. We was getting chased out of towns. We got chased out of Corpus Christi, Texas. We got
Birkin, Texas.
The head detective, the police departments all over the United States hated the wiffle ball bat thing that the Beastie Boys, you know, the sheriff's after me for how I did it to his daughter. I did it like this, I did it like that, I did it with a wiffle ball bat. Police departments all over the United States was mad. And the head detective came to the show. His daughter had come. There was the band Wasp, the heavy metal band Wasp, played the night before. His daughter got caught giving head to somebody.
In real life?
Yes. So he was like, fuck these Beastie Boys. And they came down, they said, no profanity. And if you put up the dick, everybody's going to jail.
Wow.
So one, well, you can't tell us no profanity. Everybody went on stage raising profanity to the highest. Like just, so we got chased out of town. Murphy's Law didn't. I think, and the funny thing is the Beastie Boys had this dude named Ron Bird, the only black man on their crew. Ron Bird was the man that put up the dick. So he would go to jail. Anyway, that's why, because it was, the tour was crazy. It was, Corpus Christi wasn't the only city we got chased out of. And I was like, Annette Funicello is America's sweetheart. You know, she was the Jiffy peanut butter lady. You know, the Mickey Mouse Club girl, all grown up, surf culture. But really, the most amazing thing was she was one of the biggest introductions of ska to America when she did Jamaica Ska, the original, her version.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that one lit up, that actually put ska in the mainstream, maybe for the first time in America, and married it to surf culture.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating.
Yes. So today, when you hear the all of the post-sublime California reggae sound that is married to surf.
Yes, that's the foundation. That's the original.
That Funicello is the foundation.
Funicello. Interesting.
And so I didn't surf back then. I didn't live on the beach back then, but anyway, we flew in and we did it, and I was a little freaked out. Like, oh my God, what's happening? You know? And Annette Funicello was sweet as can be. Frankie Avalon was a consummate gentleman. I enjoyed just the fact that Pee Wee Herman was a part of it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It was a big deal.
So tell us a little bit about Chili Pepper. So you toured with Red Hot Chili Pepper also on a Lollapalooza tour, right? Was it a separate or they were all one?
Yeah, those are separate tours, right? So, and first with the Chili Peppers, there was a real friendship.
But prior to the touring?
Prior to any touring that we did. Okay. I remember the day that Flea and Anthony came to see Fishbone. We were playing the Club Lingerie, which is another one of my favorite places to play in LA.
Because of the name, or just Lingerie?
A little bit of both, but it was actually, the Club Lingerie had prestige, you know? So Flea and Anthony, I remember seeing their silhouettes. Never met them before. I remember seeing them come in the building while we were on stage performing.
So was there something unique about his walk?
It was something that clicked. I think that's them dudes from that band, the Chili Peppers, that we was reading about. I had never seen them, you know. And it came off stage and we started talking, and one of the first things Flea said was, "Let's jam." And I was like, cool. And Flea and Hillel came to my mother's house, and me, my brother, Flea and Hillel jammed. And they kept coming back, you know? So there was a real bond between the bands, you know, and yeah, so, you know, the first tour that we did together was the Best of the West tour was in 1986.
And where are some of the cities that the tour took you?
We did so much of the United States.
Wow. Coast to coast, right?
Coast to coast, absolutely. You know, Atlanta, DC, New York, Chicago. Seems like we went about everywhere you can go. My memory ain't perfect, so I don't remember everything, but it was some amazing pivotal points in that. And the performances, the night, like it was insane. You know, we was all young and just figuring it out. And that was Fishbone, Chili Peppers, and Thelonious Monster. So all three bands were friends, you know, and there was and Lollapalooza, because we befriended Perry Farrell before there was a Jane's Addiction. He was in a band called Psycom.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this hot dog stand on Cahuenga, north of Hollywood Boulevard. And we were in Hollywood, maybe doing photos. We were doing something. It was on our own. Angelo came running up. There's this band playing at the hot dog stand over there. Y'all gotta come see them. Everybody followed Angelo, and that was Psycom. And when we were done, we walked up, talking to him. Perry invited us to the house on Wilton, which is where Walt met his wife. She was one of Perry's roommates. And, you know, so and actually, I did not remember this, but one of our, Jane's Addiction's first two rehearsals was in my mother's living room.
Oh, your mother tolerated that, but
yeah, man.
You had a good mom.
She was
a visionary mom.
yeah. And I, like, you know, and their first show was opening for Fishbone at the country club in Reseda. Our audience booed them.
Oh.
Our audience booed them.
But they didn't bring the energy?
No, they came, did what they do. The audience just didn't get it. You know, they didn't understand. They were an absolutely brand new band, and the audience didn't give them a chance. It was their first show.
First show.
But they were amazing at that first show. Like I felt it. The audience was like, "The fuck is this? Why y'all do that to us?" But yeah, so there was a long friendship. And when Perry asked us to play the first Lollapalooza and we passed, and that was unfortunate. But we went to do the Gathering of the Tribes, which Ian Asbury put together.
Yes.
And Ian Asbury from the Cult. And you know, but which the lineup was incredible. It was Primus, Ice Cube, Yo-Yo, King's X. Like it was, you know, I was happy to be on tour with and Yo-Yo was a sweetheart. I don't think I talked to Ice Cube at all on that. But it was set to do 35 dates, only did 3. Lollapalooza flew. Perry pulled us in to do Dallas and Seattle. So we did do 2 shows on the first one, then we did the third Lollapalooza.
So the tour got canceled or you guys just left?
No.
You said it was 33 shows?
There was like Gathering of the Tribes didn't have a ticket sales.
Oh.
So only 3 shows happened.
Oh, okay.
And Perry rode that ship. He's still riding it. You can still go to Lollapalooza whenever they doing the next one. So, you know. Yes. So yeah, we did the third one and that was incredible. But that was actually the beginning of the band. You know, like Kendall, like I spent that tour flying in and out, going to court because of me attempting to take Kendall to get psychological treatment. That whole thing with the kidnapping thing. And, like in my mind, it was an adult intervention. People call it a kidnapping.
I'm frankly not aware of the history. Something you might want to talk about?
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna keep it short because it's a whole lot to it. But bottom line is, as far as I could tell, and most of us, Kendall was having a psychological break.
Mm-hmm.
He'd been under a great amount of stress from his mother passing. Mm-hmm. And there were some other parts to it, the circumstances that made it worse. Mm-hmm. And, the short of it was, and a lot of people gonna know about it. I'm like, and I just don't want to go down that path right now. But I attempted to do an adult intervention, and that's exactly how we talked about it with his girlfriend, his fiance, his brothers, and another friend. Mm-hmm. And it turned into facing 9 to 11 years in a kidnapping charge, right?
Because the state intervened.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Right. District attorney was like, the judge even said, like, under normal circumstances, we just consider it like a domestic situation and you just throw it out. But this case is bizarre and we want to see what is up under the hood. So I faced 9 to 11 years. It was a full acquittal.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
Full acquittal for everybody. Mm-hmm. I believe it was obvious mm-hmm. what the intentions were and what the need was.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. And in fact, one of the jurors at the end of the whole thing came up to me and he's like, I came here with the intention of sending y'all to jail. But I saw what it was and,
Good. Right, sir. Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's the short of it.
Right.
It's a long,
I bet. So let's continue to walk down memory lane. Working with director Spike Lee on your music video for Sunless Saturday. What was that like?
It was incredible because, Spike was riding high. Mm-hmm. We were super fans. Still to this day, appreciate him for who he is. And, the unfortunate part is the record label was scared.
In what sense? And of what?
Well, I guess because what they felt like Spike Lee represented, mm-hmm. Blackness.
The establishment at large was really afraid of Spike.
Yes, and they were afraid of Spike and Fishbone together.
Mm-hmm. What a combination.
Yeah,
Make the weak heart tremble.
yeah, like what the fuck you think this is? You know what I mean? Like we were never trying to be white. We were just doing what came natural.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I was, and it was, and I could say I was never trying to be white with all love for all my white brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, but I got love for my Asian, for whatever you want to call a motherfucker. I'm like, you're human. I got right. Love for you. Mm-hmm. But Black Americans have a certain experience. And, mm-hmm. Like I'm gonna relate with my Black family.
Right.
And I don't need your permission But actually, I guess I did in that time, and they were scared.
So the end result, a Sunless Saturday?
The end result is the Sunless Saturday video, but it came with me sitting in meetings going like, are y'all telling the Rolling Stones that they got to put Black people in their video? Not that we didn't want to put white people. There was a point where Spike Lee sent treatment. And there was this part where it just said, kids playing on the bricks in a torn down a torn down apartment building in the Bronx. Mm-hmm. And the record label president sent back it better be white people on them, white kids on them bricks. Like, what the fuck is that? He didn't say it wouldn't be. He just said kids. And what if the kids represented us? An all Black band. What if there was a Norwood kid and a Chris Dowd kid? You know what I mean? Like, didn't have a problem putting white kids in it, but are you telling any white artist that they got to put a Black person in anything in that time?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Interesting.
It's kind of like, like people up in arms right now about the Supreme Court justice that Biden, he said, want to pick a Black woman, right? Well, there was a time when there was no question that your Supreme Court choice would be a white male.
Right.
Nobody had to say
it. Understood.
You know what I mean? Like,
unaccepted.
Yeah, it was just accepted. Like, yep, that's the way it is. You know? So it's the same kind of thing. It's like, to me, it's like, wait a minute. Like, what does it, like, one, that's no one here is thinking that way. You just threw something at it. So I'm like, this motherfucker's racist. You know? It's too much going on.
Right. So additionally, what was it like working with Spike?
Spike was great. He was classy. His brother, Sankey Lee, actually did the directing on the set. Spike oversaw it all. And it was fucking badass. You know?
So who initiated the contact with Spike? Your agent or came through friendship?
No, we did not know him before that. It was our manager. Our manager. We was just like, okay, we need to do it was time to do a video who we want to pick. We threw a bunch of names in the pot. A very capable people.
Top of the line.
But it was like, Spike Lee. Like, that's something we wanted to do, for us. And we felt like he was more than capable. And I think the video still stands to this day.
Fishbone's never afraid to take a stand. So I want to ask you about some of the bands that you influence, not only here in Southern California, where you're based, but around the world. Bands like No Doubt, Sublime. Can you please share stories about performing on tour with some of the LA bands that we have mentioned before? But No Doubt and Sublime.
You know what? No Doubt, for sure. Like, some of their early shows were opening for Fishbone. I'm still seeing the flyer, periodically seeing the flyers, and that was, it was incredible to watch them, to one, give them the opportunity to come and open for us, because really, Fender's Ballroom was a very young No Doubt, and then but when they came with the shows that we did at the Roxy, like that was them at an evolutionary stage, and and to watch them grow and forever be graceful and classy and just good human beings to us, you know? It's their journey was an incredible journey to watch, you know?
Sublime as well? You work with them.
I'll tell you what, in all honesty, I don't remember playing with Sublime. I'm like, I know that we did. I know that we did. If what I think we did some radio festivals. When they had not completely hit. But I honestly, if we were on the shows, it was probably at a time to where I was drinking all night and sleeping all day. And I didn't see them.
Yes.
And that's me being honest. But I remember the first time I heard them on the radio, you know, and I remember hearing them, you know, once they started to explode. Because their manager, who eventually became our manager, John Phillips, came to me and was like, he was like, I know you guys work with David Kahn. How was that? Because I'm thinking about having him work with my band Sublime. You know, and I was like, yeah, like David's an amazing producer, you know, suggested on how to, you know, operate with him. But other than that, I'm like, fuck yeah, do that shit, you know? And actually that was what led to the explosion of the band. But the unfortunate thing is Bradley Noel would never get to enjoy their massive popularity.
Right.
You know, the wild thing is like, you know, like one day I'm looking at watching the video and like, oh, that's Angelo in the Sublime video. You know, he got around.
Yes. My last question before I turn you over to producer and good friend Eric Kohler. So why is it important to include social commentary in practically all your creative work?
Well, one, it is, for me, is how I'm wired, right? And it took me a long time to understand that some people are not wired like that. You know what I mean? Just because somebody want to sing love songs don't mean they're a sellout. You know? Like that's what's in their heart. And they should be doing exactly that, right? So I'm just wired to be drawn to message music.
Yes. And that's very important.
Yeah. That's why punk rock resonated with me. The music of the 60s, where people, you know, actually spoke about the circumstances of the people. You know, when the Temptations actually began to speak to the Black condition, you know, the world condition. Marvin Gaye, what's going on? You know, The Clash, right? Like once I got what Joe Strummer was saying, like, pow, my brain was exploding, you know, but punk rock was built on that. And I think that rock and roll in and of itself, that's the spirit of it. And it grew up and it grew brains. And so you can have Bob Marley, you know, actually with love and elegance, being a revolutionary, a true revolutionary voice. You know, you could have a still post true democracy. You know, you could have Black Uhuru saying, you know, speaking to the people.
Yes.
You know, and that's what Two Tone was about. Two Tone spoke about the conditions in England at that time, and it was rough.
Similar to the experiences we are going through here.
Yeah, exactly. We could relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
There was when, you know, I was, you know, feel fortunate that I got to be a part of the sit-ins and the marches that led to, and the boycotts that led to Nelson Mandela being freed and the bringing down of apartheid South Africa.
So we crossed paths numerous times and didn't know each other.
Yeah, but that was some of the most important things to me. So I was a kid, South Central LA, going to my cousins in Compton. My cousin was there, say, you know, I'm talking about 1970, 1971. Let's go around the corner to the schoolhouse. The Black Panthers are giving away free lunch. We go get fed by the Black Panthers. Black Panthers, they actually took the time to teach us a little arithmetic, a little reading, a little history. And none of it was, they didn't teach us revolutionary shit. They taught us what little kids should be taught. You know? But the fact that I was there years later, like I didn't think about it. It was something we was kids doing what kids do. Years later, I'm like, whoa, like, you know, talk to my cousin Nita about it. And you know, I'm like, they gave back and I was someone they gave to. Mm-hmm. And so I am inspired to give back.
Yes.
You know? And I see that they were demonized. Well, I didn't see a damn thing wrong. And the more I learned about the history, the more I'm like, oh, y'all was scared.
You're not kidding.
You know? And so when they started talking about Farrakhan, I'm like, let me go see what this man got to say. I went and I listened to Farrakhan, and I didn't hear what they said he was saying. I heard the fullness of his conversation. I could see how it could get taken out of context. If you want to take something out of context.
Not hard.
You know what I mean? And I consider myself I'm not a follower of anybody. So I don't hang on every word that anybody is saying. Mm-hmm. I take what makes sense to me, and I make it mine. And then I try to live through it through my own personal code of ethics. Right?
Yes, sir. This is an excellent transition point to bring in our good friend Eric Kohler.
All right.
Excellent. Norwood, those are some great words of wisdom. Very, very, very profound. And I've been sitting off in the wings here, laughing right. Part of this. There were some great stories, Norwood, but no, some powerful ones. And thank you for doing this. And I've really enjoyed it. And it was a pleasure to finally meet you in person too at that Grammy Museum event.
Yes.
I've seen you and Fishbone so many times over the years, and that was a lot of fun. And Junor or Norwood, just touching on one of two things that Junor said when he was asking you about some of the artists that and bands that you've worked with throughout the years. We can go on and on because there's so many of them, but I know that sticking with Public Enemy, what were they like to perform with?
Well, they were brand spanking new and had not played a single show ever when we did the first things with them, with the Beastie Boys.
Okay.
The Beastie Boys was like, let's make room for them, give them some stage, right? So everybody cut their sets a little short so they could perform. Later on, we did one of the most insane bills ever, Fishbone, Public Enemy, Living Color, and Stetson Sonic at the Santa Monica Civic, which Unfortunately, Public Enemy did not get to do a whole hell of a lot there. Exactly.
Yeah, that's the one. Wow.
Yeah, because gangs began to, kick people's ass, like mobbing through the crowd, and it was not cool.
Right.
And Public Enemy did not get to finish. Fishbone played a complete set. I didn't think we were going to be able to play, and we did. And there was none of those incidents.
Mm-hmm.
And but I was a huge fan. Like, it was the Beastie Boys that gave us the first Public Enemy advanced copies of Yo Bum Rush the Show.
Wow.
I remember the day they came on our tour bus and gave everybody a copy. I think it was Mike D.
Okay. Yeah.
Passing them out. And yeah, so that was, but yeah, like, I was just a total fan of Public Enemy, Chuck D, and what happens over there. But you know what? I forgot to say, there was one of the most amazing. We've done a lot of amazing shows with a lot of our heroes, right? And the specials, fucking epic, the English beat, like, it's like, Bad Manners, like, dude. And the Skylights, right? Like, those things happen.
Yep.
We were on tour in Europe. It was in like 90, 91 maybe. We did 3 festivals in Europe. James Brown headlining, Still Pulse before James Brown, Fishbone before Still Pulse.
Wow, what a trio.
What a spectacular variety, something like
Yeah,
that.
amazing variety.
We don't get that here in the States, right?
Oh my God.
Talk about showtime.
that was like,
Incredible. Yeah. Wow. Did you have a chance to meet and talk with James?
We did, because we talked to the band on a regular basis, right? And the drummer was he probably had 2 drummers. One of the drummers was from Watts.
Okay.
Wow. Hometown.
So we was relating every day. And yeah, his singers, everybody, the band was lovely, right? I think it was about the last show. We were somewhere, maybe Switzerland, France. James Brown, like, talking to the drummer, James Brown is doing a press conference, and we standing outside the tent. It's a big, gigantic tent. You could hear James Brown talking. And I'm going like, how these French-speaking motherfuckers understanding a word he's saying? I can't understand shit. But he was talking, and then the drummer, I wish I remembered his name. He said, he was like, you guys want to meet Mr. Brown? I'm like, oh, absolutely.
Yes.
He was like, cool, go get something to sign. You might want to get something to sign for him to sign. Me and Kendall ran and we got our guitars. And both of us, our instruments were pretty new. And Kendall had this one-of-a-kind Tom Anderson guitar. Like, paint job was incredible. So James Brown comes out. Drummers, Mr. Brown, these are the guys from Fishbone. They've been playing with us for the last 3 shows. They'd like to meet you. Oh, yeah. It's an honor to meet you, Mr. Brown. Like, you've been, like, fan of your music forever. Would you please sign our guitars? Bro, somebody had one of them gold or silver pens. You got to shake them up. And Kendall put his guitar up first. Brown, shake up the pen, go to sign it. The pen wasn't.
Wasn't signing on that that material.
Yeah. And James Brown, he was like, oh, it ain't. He kept trying, and he kept trying. he shake it up, and he kept trying and kept trying. He give me another one. He got another pen. Saying, you know, kept trying. And you know what? It was incredible how many times he tried.
Wow.
Like it was.
He didn't get frustrated and give up right away.
He did not. He put in a great effort, but he fucked Kendall's guitar up something terrible. And while he's kept going, I slowly put my guitar back in the case.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Oh, and when it was over, Kendall was pissed. I'm like, dude, like
he never got it signed either. Just
I mean, he just made a mess on his guitar, right? It never got a proper signature. And
at least it makes for a great story.
and I'm like, Kendall, you know what? The band Perfect Circle, Billy Howard Dale was on the road with us. He was teching for us, right? There was no Perfect Circle at the time. Right. Anyway, Billy Howard, he was like, I'm gonna get Billy to clean this shit up. I'm like, don't do it, man. You got probably got the only guitar on the planet that got fucked up by James Brown like that.
Right? Big value.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Oh, I love that. That's a great story, Norwood. So also going back, and I think maybe a good place where fans can hear more about what you briefly touched on earlier is the 2010 documentary, right? Everyday Sunshine.
Yes.
I had the pleasure of actually seeing that on a flight, I think from LA to New York at one point. But powerful. Were you happy with that documentary?
You know what? The thing is like, I'm happy with it. Let me just state that. One, yes, I'm happy with it. And it was just very difficult for me to judge the quality of it because I looked at it and I'm like, oh, that's my life. Yeah. All I kept seeing is like I never thought they took like there was many edits of it that we had to watch. And I was like, I can't be objective about this. Like I said it. It's what I said, and what I said is what happened. Like
you lived through it, yeah.
It was. I was too close to the subject to be objective.
Yeah.
But really, the response to it was incredible, and that's really, you know, where I'm like, okay, it's like, you know, because it was Angelo from the very beginning. He was like, well, if we do this, it's got to be 100% real. Mm-hmm. And that's what I see when I watch it. Yeah. I could see that. That's great. That's great feedback. Another fascinating part of that documentary, aside from just obviously your career in itself, but Lawrence Fishburne, the narrator, who was also part of this Grand Museum event last October. But talk about Lawrence and how did it come about for him to narrate it? And do you remember, did you meet him back in the day at the On Club? No, I do not remember meeting him at the On Club. What it was, a guy named Brendan Mullen. Okay. Who, you know, he used to book the Mask of Old Punk Rock Club. I never went to the Mask. Okay. But he booked the Cathay de Grand, and then he booked Club Lingerie. Got it. And I think the Red Hot Chili Peppers got a coffee table book where Brendan Mullen was pivotal to bringing that to life. I don't remember the part he played, if he did the notes or, you know, whatever. But Brendan was an amazing, beautiful dude. He has passed on. But Brendan Mullen was like, I want to introduce you guys to Larry Fishburne, because he thought Fishburne needs to meet Fishbone. Right? And that's who introduced us to Larry Fishburne. Right. And you know, from there we just stayed connected overall. Like sometimes we'd be in New York and he'd invite us to his place. He'd come to the shows, and
Yep.
you know, he was just a real down to earth bro with us.
Yeah.
You know,
I can see that.
and you know, like, so, you know, the unfortunate part is like, before they got to Larry Fishburne, the directors asked him, right? Like, I had asked Jeremy Pivens.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
He's a bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeremy Pivens was up for it. And when they had to tell Jeremy Pivens, we're going with Fishburne, you know, I think he was a little disappointed.
For your second documentary, you can have.
So was it a financial bonanza? The documentary?
I ain't make a dime off of it.
Oh. Well, I'm sure you all gained some
Exposure.
Yeah, some exposure, but also some new fans, and maybe.
No, absolutely that. It was incredible, really.
Yeah.
Like because what we discovered is that there is a ton of people out there that don't give a fuck about getting up and going to a concert, a club, a gathering to see music.
Yep.
They may love music, but they would rather sit in their living rooms and watch it on TV.
Sure.
They'd rather go to a movie theater, right? So, and people, when me and Angelo went around to do question and answer sessions, those people actually stood up and said, I would have never heard about your band if you would have did this, because we don't go see live music, but we fell in love with your band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People, that happened over and over again.
Sure.
And the mere fact that you saw it on a flight to New York.
Correct.
Probably a reputable airline.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so yeah, it allowed us to be discovered by a ton of people that, you know, we would have missed us. And you know what? And that, like, again, like, you know, we ain't out of COVID, but people are doing shows, right? But when it came to the live streaming thing, I was like, yep, those people are out there for the live streaming experience.
Right. Yeah.
They didn't need COVID for the live streaming experience, and we was missing that opportunity.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's a great point. You're obviously one to not be idle, and many years ago you started another project, Trulio Disgracias.
Yes.
Can you talk about how that came together? And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you have some upcoming activities.
Oh yeah. And so ultimately that begins with you know, Doug Wimbish, current bassist in Living Color, right? He was in a band called Adrian Sherwood and Tackhead. Right? Yeah. And you know, like, they were coming to play the Palace in Hollywood. And Kendall's girlfriend was actually worked at the Palace, right? So Anna Lawrence, who's in the documentary, right?
I know Anna, yeah.
Yes, Anna's amazing, brilliant mind, right? And so Anna, so all of my musical friends kept asking me, can you get me in the show? Can you get me in the show? I'm like, I'm not in the band, I can't, you know? And then I had this bright idea, like, well, maybe if we could be the opening band, I could get all my friends in and they could play for their. So I asked Anna if we could possibly get the opening slot. She's like, oh, I'll ask. She did, and they said yes. So I think it was like an 11-piece band.
Wow.
And then Dia Davenport from the Brand New Heavies was a part of that.
Okay.
Bob Forrest from Thelonious Monster was there. I think Chris Dowd sang on it. and I believe it was, it's hard for me to remember.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
But I think it was the drummer from Planet 10.
Okay.
Who was, if we didn't talk about Planet 10 on this, but they were another on club band.
Okay. Cool.
All white reggae band
Haven't
that we bonded with completely and became really good, did a bunch of shows with. That was, again, another one of them.
Cool. Okay.
Like they were super influential to us. And they shared a lot of music with us. They actually hipped us to the Blue Rhythm Band.
Oh yeah. Okay.
from the Midwest.
Yeah. Big.
Yeah, Nancy Reagan.
Right. Yeah. That's it.
You know, but anyway, so that was probably 1987, I think. And then a year later, Vernon Reid called and he asked if Fishbone would open for Living Color at the Palace.
Yeah.
And at the time, Fishbone was selling out 2 nights in a row. I'm like, dude, Fishbone can't open for you on these shows. But I could put together my side project.
There you go.
So, you know, Vernon was like, cool. So we put it all together. And it's funny because the first Trulio show, Doug Wimbish, the second one, The Rest of Living Color, right?
Wow.
And now he's a member of that band.
Yeah.
Well, Skillen was the bassist back then. So, and Anna, me and Anna, we was joking the whole time because she's the guitarist girlfriend, right? She's like, yeah, I could be like homegirl in Spinal Tap. I'm gonna stand on the side of the stage and smoke cigarettes, and we was cracking up at the whole thing, right? And so, I mean, because it was like a joke from the beginning. We was just joking, clowning. And so, you know, I started to pull together the band, and I just said yes to everybody that asked to be in the band. I just didn't say no. And then eventually Anna started saying, there's too many people, you gotta say no. And then in the end, she was like, it's 27 people, not one more person.
Wow, that's orchestra.
Yeah, so we capped it at 27 people. Because I would have kept saying yeah.
Double orchestra.
And then Anna's like, well, let's do a warm-up before we get to the Living Color, because I want to make sure the band is really good. So she got us a show at the Club Lingerie. And the headlining band was a little band out of Seattle called Soundgarden.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Incredible.
Yeah. But that was our warm-up for Living Color. Yeah. And that became the band that would be the golden era of Trulio. We just run around, play LA, and just,
yeah,
you know, it was insane. Like you can understand 27 people in a band. You know?
And basically on and off ever since.
Pretty much, but it was strong for a good stretch of years. And Anna, it was like I would come up with a bright idea and Anna would make it reality.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, you know, we played a bunch in LA. Well, I think we need to go to San Francisco. Next thing you know, we booked in San Francisco with a plan on how to make it happen. And we go to San Francisco a few times. I think we need to go east. Let's go to Arizona.
Right.
Arizona.
She was a door.
Go to Arizona, then go to San Francisco. Oh, maybe we could see if we could do the whole West Coast. Go to Seattle. Seattle, back. Anna made it happen. Eventually, like, I think we need to do the Rockies. I'm carrying 27 people. Rockies, go to Colorado, go through the
Tough
Rockies.
to make any money with that many members.
Somehow, everybody got paid something on those runs.
Yeah. Wow.
Was an
And then
experience.
it peaked out in 1997. I'm like, I think it's time to do a nationwide tour. Mind you, we haven't released one bit of music.
Wow. That's a testament to your amazing stage shows, right? And
Yeah, so-
the musicians.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, nationwide. We talked to this guy, Gavin Hitt was Fishbone's booking agent. So Gavin's like, yeah, I'll do it. Him and Anna put it together nationwide. And on that tour, I had the Skeletones, a band called the Streetwalking Cheetahs, Thelonious Monster, Keith Morris from the Circle Jerks, and John Frusciante. Fresh, like John Frusciante trying to get clean off of drugs.
Wow.
Right? Like I get a call one day, John's trying to kick heroin and he wants to play music with you. Really? I'll support that.
Yeah.
Right? We went nationwide. It was started with, I think, 37 people, 2 buses, 3 vans. And we got to New York and I had to let a couple people go because we were losing money.
Of course.
You know?
You got very far.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that broke my heart to do that.
I'm sure.
But again, like I'm talking like this, really, I'm talking about Anna. She killed it. You know?
Yeah. Huge thanks to Anna for that. So the current version of Trulio.
Yes.
Is how many members?
The last show I did, I think about 26 people showed up to play with the band. I never know what's gonna happen.
Right.
No rehearsal prior to showtime?
No, we didn't rehearse for that. And fortunately we've done it enough to where we can. And I'm one of them people to where like I like to be a little under rehearsed sometimes because it just keeps like, everybody's really focused and trying to be good. And when you got people that can play, like it's like I don't like to rehearse Fishbone too much before a tour because the band evolves on tour.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
There's a band that you get in the first 5 shows. Begins to change show 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there.
Right.
If you do 14 days in a row, day 12 is a totally different band than the first day.
True.
Like the band is on fire in a whole nother way.
Right.
I love that evolution.
Yeah. I didn't think about that, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Even now.
Yeah.
Even now.
Even now, yeah. It don't matter. The songs get played faster. The band gets tighter. Somehow, like the spaces in between, they even though the song is faster, it seems like they're wider spaces because everybody's playing tighter.
Right. Yeah.
Like we get good at threading the needle.
Yeah.
So it's observing music is like in that respect is very different. The living, breathing, evolving. Some bands play like the album. There's nothing that I've ever done that was that. We always left room for evolution.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's the power of a live set too. I mean, if you want to hear, if a person wants to hear a band just like the album, listen to the album, look at a photo, maybe. You've always been part of bands and projects that are really a live spectacle. I mean, truly.
Yes, absolutely. Like, because my very first show was the Ohio Players in Graham Central Station.
Wow, okay.
And I love the Ohio Players, but in my mind, it was a Graham Central Station show.
Yeah.
Right? Because Larry Graham and them just, ooh. And the second show I ever went to was Rufus featuring Shaka Khan.
Yes.
Both
Yeah.
at the Shrine Auditorium.
Right.
Right?
Two great first concerts.
Yeah, exactly. And then my father took me and my brother to go see Donald Byrd and the Blackbirds, Cameo, and Parliament Funkadelic at the sports arena.
Wow, that's a great bill.
Right? Sold out show. Mothership landing,
Yeah. Wow.
Dudes flying up in the air, shooting the bop gun. You know what I mean? And I love Don Kirshner's rock concert and the Midnight Special, and that's where I saw Kiss, and David Bowie.
Yeah.
I eventually saw David Bowie on the Serious Moonlight tour, but
yeah,
which was a spectacle.
I can imagine. Right.
Yeah. And seeing the specials on Saturday Night Live, right?
Oh, that was a game changer.
Like the energy of that was out of control.
Yep.
Dance Craze movie and The Decline of Western Civilization. All you got was intensity and energy.
Right.
Like really? You gonna watch Bust the Blood Vessel and not move?
Oh my gosh. I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really?
Right. Yeah.
So those all of that fueled us.
Yes. Final question. What advice would you give? And I'm sure you've been asked this before, but what advice would you give to aspiring or new musicians or new members of bands? Because obviously you've been at this for so long. Any advice that comes to mind?
Well, the younger generation has the benefits of the internet for better and for worse, right? The consequences of the internet for better and for worse.
Yes.
Right? Because I don't know how I would tell a young band to make money right now.
Right.
I'm fortunate. I have a legacy, Yeah. But how money is made on the internet, I can't guide nobody that way. But, like I would say in any era, one, you gotta have love in your heart. You gotta love what you are doing. And the best case scenario is to love who you are doing it with. That is not a requirement, but boy, does it make the ride better.
It sure is a benefit. Yeah, right.
A lot of amazing bands where members hate each other and they can go out and make legions of people happy. Not something to aspire to.
Yeah. Great point. Yes.
You know what I mean? So really it starts with love in your heart, love of music. You really gotta love this. I was a lifer from the beginning. I always saw myself in my position now playing music.
Wow.
Now, I might have dreamed that I might have a car collection, a private jet, a mansion and a yacht, and going down the street with Elmer Fudd.
You don't have those things?
I got a nice surfboard collection.
There we go. Any jetpacks?
but like the fact is that we came through punk rock, and punk rock did not promise You know,
Wealth and fortune.
yeah. So I understood that completely.
Yeah.
So it was about love for me,
Yeah.
you know, and you know, I watched this Aretha Franklin
Oh
movie
yeah. Yeah.
the other day, and not Respect, which I have yet to see, and I'm ashamed to say that, but the Genius series on Hulu, right?
Okay.
And I watched that, and I'm like, dude, I am a big old cream puff softy inside, and I tear up when music is beautiful. You know?
It hits you. Yeah.
Yes, I will cry.
And that's the reaction.
Yes. The Summer of Soul.
Oh yes. Yes.
I cried. My mother's like, you gotta watch this. You gotta watch this.
Powerful.
I sat down at my mother, me and my mother's watching this. I'm sitting there going like, I'm trying to hold back these tears. I don't want to cry right now. I don't want to cry. Because the music is
the powerful.
it's a powerful
music.
Yes.
Yeah.
powerful music, powerful moments in that.
True.
And I'm like, you know, and I get the historical lens through which all of it is filtered from sometimes. You know, when I could be listening to Funkadelic Maggot Brain and or be some BB King, you know, and my brain goes to, you know, the first motherfucking African that got picked up off the continent and taken into slavery. All them ships, the Middle Passage, the shit that motherfuckers had to survive to do this.
Deep. Yep.
You know, I feel all of that. When I hear sometimes I hear music and it's just like, man, how what it took to get here. You know, the African American experience, it gives us the foundation to most of the popular music as we know it.
100%.
Right?
Worldwide.
And it's feeling that brings me to tears.
Right. Right.
Sometimes it's just the beauty of the music.
Right.
Like I listen,
or imagine what those artists were going through when they were recording.
Yeah, I get welled up with emotion when I listen to Kate Bush.
Oh yeah.
You know, like she moves me.
Sure.
Right. So that's a different experience, but it's amazing.
Yeah. Well,
interesting.
On
that note,
that note,
you know, my good friend Professor Ntungela from Masalela from South Africa said that the African Americans and the South Africans, southern part of Africa, are the most soulful singers because of their sheer apartheid experience.
Yeah,
there's some truth to that.
Yeah, it's why the caged bird sings, right?
Right.
Like it's and I'm like, so you know, in life, you if you're fortunate, you get to a point to where you could look back over all your experiences and appreciate the pain that you had to walk to get where you are. Right?
Yeah.
Because you survived. Right? And we acquire strength and we are damaged by it. You know what I mean? Traumatized. But at a certain point, you get to a point where you can look back and you go like, you know, you could look back and you go like, it took all of that for me to be talking to you guys right now. You know, and my optimism says that the world, no matter what we're going through or how horrible it looks, the trajectory is toward better.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's a good way to end it.
That's a perfect way to end it.
What a fitting ending.
Norwood, give out your website if you would, please.
All right, yeah. Well, the one that I'm growing right now the most is Norwood Lessons. Yep, I got some bass lessons and I got some t-shirts, and I'm about to drop a new t-shirt.
Ooh, nice.
Pretty soon. You know, I appreciate people that resonated with being human as a full-time job.
Yes.
People showed up and bought that one. And, you know, yeah, I'm doing bass lessons online. And actually, you know, this is about my 7th year, so I was ready for COVID. You know, when the music industry bottomed out, I just started saying, hey, I'm over here giving bass lessons. When you buy your kid a new instrument, I'm here for them if you get a bass.
They're learning from one of the best too.
Yeah, and
your diversity in the music, I think, really helps and goes a long way too.
Yeah, and hey, keep your ear to the ground for the Familyhood Next experience.
Okay.
Next speech.
Like, yes, it's based in dub. I got 2 tracks completed.
Okay.
And my intention is to release them this year, but I'm planning on recording more.
Excellent.
And so it's based in dub, and like it's really an all improv live dub thing.
Nice.
Is what it's born of. But making records, I craft things, right? So I got one track that has it has Jack Manis, Jonas Cabrera from the Skeletones, and Jesse Wagner from the Aberlites.
Sure. Yeah.
Household names in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great crew.
With Jessie Green, who played, at the time she was playing violin with the Foo Fighters. She's now playing with Pink.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Jessie Green on violin. Anthony First Class from the English Beat.
Excellent.
Beebs Money, Beebs and her Money Makers.
Okay.
And I got, actually, I think I got Paul Hampton from the Skeletones on keyboards. Nice. You know, got a track with all of that happening on it.
Nice.
You know, and so yeah, I'm looking to launch that this year as soon as possible.
Okay. Well,
tracks are completed, mixed, and actually now I'm having a senior moment. Anyway, fishbone.net. I forgot that. You can find me Woody Woodstraw on Instagram.
Yes.
Which that's another project of mine. Woody Woodstraw is my alter ego.
Okay.
Right? It's Woody, the whole thing is Woody Woodstraw, the devil's son-in-law. Right?
Okay.
You know, and Woody Woodstraw he married all 6 of the devil's daughters.
Okay.
It made him the sole heir to the throne of hell. And he didn't really want that job when he married all of them. He was
handed to him.
He was looking for the ultimate pleasure. You know what I mean?
And he got it, right?
And then he was like, oh no, my father-in-law. So put him in a permanent chase scene because he really ain't looking to do that gig.
Right. Wow.
So anyway, I began to record that as well.
Nice. Well, plenty of projects, and again, thank you for your many years of service and creativity, and thank you for being a part of this interview.
I really appreciate you guys having me, and you know, and the music will continue on. Ska, reggae, soul,
funk,
it all, and it you know, and that's the other thing. Like when I listen to the specials, like actually you hear them doing some of everything.
Sure,
And
Yeah.
it's true.
you know what I mean? Some of that, like they did it too. You know, like there's some times where I'm listening to them like that's kind of Rolling Stones-ish,
Right.
you know, kind of punky Rolling Stones.
On the same landscape, England, right?
Yeah, Horace doing them octaves, like you know, it was had some of the disco feel of that time, you know,
Okay.
like they was incorporating different things, man.
Okay.
It's at the end of the day, it's all just music.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's really what I'm gonna leave at this one. What does it mean to be fully expressed? What can a child be fully artistically expressed today? And I hope I paved the way for that child, whoever he is,
Without a doubt.
whoever she is.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Big,
You know?
big love and big respect to you.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Yes,
Junior,
All right, y'all.
Yes. Junior, I want to thank each and everyone. Thank you, Eric. Please follow us, History of LA Ska on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and join our Facebook program, or Facebook group rather. And please follow me at Junor Francis. This series is produced by my good friend here, Eric Kohler, for Rockery Radio. And please follow at Rockery_radio on Instagram for fresh rock, rhythm, soul, and Jamaican music inspired playlist that comes out how often? Daily.
Junior, thank you for all your service as well.
Both of you guys are working hard like Firefly.
Oh, yeah.
Man, right here, Junior.
And
No.
actually, one last thing. You know, I saw you in a concert. Where was it again, Eric?
The John Anson Ford.
Eric
Theater.
took me there, and I only saw 2 songs. I've not seen you since. That was, my gosh, when I was at my own knee. Been so long. So I
Right.
catch you in concert. 2 songs, and it blew my mind. I said I couldn't pigeonhole you into any genre, but the energy was unbearably wicked.
Absolutely.
I know that era. Like it was, you know, the John Anson 4 was
Oh
a
man.
favorite time, and yeah, we was on fire for
We're
sure.
gonna, we're gonna see you
Yes.
live again.
To my
this
sorrow, I've
this
seen
year.
you guys since.
We will do it. We will do it.
unfortunately.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you, everyone, for your support and listening and watching. Norwood, all the best to you. Take care of yourself.
Thanks
Give
for
our best to
having
you
me.
guys.
I had a blast with y'all.
No,
Thank
thank
Yes,
you.
man,
We
of
did
course.
too.
All right.
All right. Take care, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Much love. Bye-bye.